I was driving a shortcut from 29 Palms, California to Albuquerque, New Mexico. 29 Palms is located in the desolate high desert of East LA. The shortcut was completely a two-lane road through total nothingness except for passing through Amboy, California. Amboy is a nearly abandoned town, nearly as far below sea level as Death Valley, with a dormant volcano and lava field on one side and a salt flat on the other. It was also, at the time, a hot spot for satanic group activity. So I was driving by myself in the afternoon. I stopped in Amboy and snapped a picture of the city sign, just to prove I was there to friends who dared me to take the route to 140. I got back in my car and proceeded to drive up into the mountain range between Amboy and 140. Once I reach the top, I am driving north through a canyon with high grass on both sides of the road. Up ahead, I see some stuff in the middle of the road. As I approach, I slow down to see a red Pontiac Fiero stop sideways across both lanes, a suitcase open with clothes scattered everywhere, and two bodies laying face down in the road, a man and a woman. I stopped 100 feet or so away, and the hair on the back of my neck is standing up. Being a Marine, I reach under my seat and pull out a 9mm pistol and chamber a round. Something seemed very wrong. It looked too perfect, as if it was staged. An ambush? Was I being paranoid? Something was just wrong. Getting out of the car seemed unthinkable. It was the horror movie move. As I scanned the road, I saw a line I could drive. Past the guy in the road on his left, swerved to the right side of the woman behind the Fiero, and I'd be on the other side. I dropped it into first gear, punched it, and drove the line I planned. I passed the back of the Fiero without hitting it or either of the bodies on the road. I continued forward a couple 100 feet and slowed down so I could breathe and let my heart slow down. As I looked up into the rearview mirror, I saw that the two bodies had gotten up to their knees and 20 or so people emerged from the tall grass on either side of the road by the car and the bodies. At that moment, my right foot smashed the gas pedal to the floor and did not let up until I had to slow down for the 140 East on-ramp. I will never know what would have happened to me if I had gotten out of the car to check on the bodies, or stopped my car closer to them. Somehow, I do not think it would have been good. Sometimes real life can be scarier than a movie. Something sort of like this happened to me. Once, when I was still too young to drive, my mum came to pick me, my sister, and our friend up from a concert at a local bar. It was around 2 a.m. as we were driving back to our neighborhood, which was in the middle of nowhere. Seriously, we didn't even live close to the city limits. There weren't any street lights near our neighborhood, or really for a 5-mile span around where we lived, so it was always pitch black. We're driving along this street when we come up over a hill, and my mum starts slowing down. Naturally, we start asking her why she's slowing down, and she points ahead to the road at the bottom of the hill and tells us she's trying to figure out what's happened up ahead. We look, and all we can see is this huge mass of people walking around in the middle of the road, completely blocking it. Someone even had a torch. I kid you not. My mum slows down almost completely and starts flickering her lights, hoping they'll move, but they don't. So she did a quick U-turn and we went the different way. To this day, I still have no idea what those people were doing. This happened to a friend of mine a few days ago. One night this girl was walking around the city when she started to suspect she was being followed. She went into a hotel lobby to try and shake the guy off. She told the staff what was happening, and they insisted on calling the police. The police finally find him and take him for questioning. They check surveillance footage to see if he was actually following her. He was, and they arrest him. The next day, they get positive DNA match for a number of crimes around the city. Turns out, he was the murderer around Leeds who has killed 3 people in the last 3 weeks. This is true, and I wish I could figure out a logical explanation for it. I misplaced a pair of earrings I really liked. Nothing special, $19.99 at Target, but I wore those things all the time. Couldn't find them and looked everywhere. I especially looked in, around, under, and behind my bed because I have a habit of taking them off as I'm going to bed and tossing them on the nightstand. 3 days go by and no luck. I'm getting ready for a date, alone in the house, still thinking about those earrings and miffed that I couldn't wear them. Right before my date shows up, I go back into my bedroom and the earrings are there on my pillow. To this day, it still creeps me out. I nearly got kidnapped. When we were around 7 years old, my friends and I would go play at the park near my house. We lived in a really secluded area, the type where you leave your front door unlocked at night and whatnot. It was starting to get dark, so we all started heading home. I would take a path behind the ball fields while everyone else would go right out to the parking lot into the street to head home. I got to the furthest point of the park, where a side street leading to the street I lived on, when a middle-aged man started walking towards me. I could see his SUV parked on the side of the road. He called out to me asking if I wanted to see his new puppies in the back. I said no, because I needed to get home before it got really dark. Years later, I had a holy crap moment when I realized I could have gotten kidnapped.